Over the weekend, Nigel Farage announced in the Daily Mail what he was planning to do if and when he becomes Prime Minister. Now, to be honest with you, I think it's pretty likely that he will become Prime Minister. I've been saying this for a while. The mood of the country is definitely shifting, and people are very concerned about immigration, which is, of course, what Keir Starmer was coming out to address today, because this is just the issue of our time. It's the source of all of the problems that Britain is having at the moment. Every major problem is essentially just downstream of the rampant overpopulation that we have in this country. So Nigel Farage lays out what is essentially his big political pitch. Now, he spends quite a lot of time at the beginning just explaining everything is terrible, everything is broken, high streets are dying, things are falling apart, and people want something else, which is why he thinks that the tide is turning at the local elections, which might be correct. I think he's probably correct about this. Complains about Labour and the Tories, obviously, and so he says, look, we understand that governments do not create wealth, they spend it. That is why we would start by lifting the threshold for tax to £20,000, liberating millions from the tax regime, and genuinely making employment pay. Don't get me wrong, that would be good. The issue at the moment, though, is that this, and he says he would cut taxes and regulations for small businesses. As a small business owner, that would be great. The current tax code runs 17,000 pages and is one of the longest in the world. We will make it one of the shortest. Britain will be open for business again. Brilliant idea, to be honest. I'm totally in favour. I realise that Farage is just a mega Thatcherite, and I'm not much of a Thatcherite, but I would like it to be easier to do business in Britain, and that would just generally make Britain a wealthier place. So, good idea. Making the tax code as short as possible, good. But there are a lot of people who are going to say, okay, Nigel, but you're going to be depriving the Treasury of billions of pounds by doing this. And so you will create lots of unfunded spending, which is, of course, what they have been saying in response. All of the Labourites have been saying this. And therefore, this is unworkable and will cause some sort of Liz Truss-style bankruptcy. He doesn't seem to have an answer to this, other than we will incentivise wealth creators to come to our country. So maybe, I don't know, he should be really pairing that with cutting spending. But the thing is, cutting spending is a dicey proposition in Britain because there are lots of people who are dependents on the state. In fact, I think more than half of people have some sort of benefit they receive from the state. It's crazy how Britain works at the moment. And so that will probably annoy a lot of people. But on the other side of on the other hand, there are lots of people who, even though they gain benefits, know they shouldn't be. And know that this is an unsustainable way of running the country, so who knows? But anyway, he's saying, look, we're ready to be a friend to the unions, which he probably is, to be fair. I don't think he's actually deeply anti-union. I think he's just anti-Labour. But anyway, he says we will also back farmers. And again, he probably will, to be honest. Labour's inheritance tax raid is indeed a war on farmers, and will indeed destroy family farms and decimate rural communities. Yeah, BlackRock will buy it all up. We'll become serfs on the land we used to own, basically, is the issue. Eliminating this tax is not all we will do. We'll increase the farming budget to ensure that supermarkets pay farmers a fair price for their produce and establish a system under which all taxpayer-funded organisations source 75% of their food from British farmers. Seems fine. I like the again, like, you know, Nigel might have been a Thatcherite in his youth, but this isn't very Thatcherite, right? It's not like free market extremism. This is protectionism. Okay, I'm up for a bit of protectionism, to be honest. It may well be that there's a knock-on effect that food prices go up a bit, but if he manages to cut the amount of tax we have to pay and make sure that we are keeping more of our own money, maybe that won't be such a problem. So, okay, I'm listening. I'm up for that. So, of course, he sees inheritance tax as nothing more than a levy on assets. Yeah, it's just evil. I hate inheritance tax. And it's not that I stand to inherit anything. I just want to be clear. My parents are not wealthy. They're not like millionaire boomers. My parents, they have a house. That's what my parents have. And it's a nice enough house, but it's, you know, it's a 4-bedroom semi, right, in Cornwall, which is nice. And it'll probably sell for a few £100,000. But it's not like, I'm not going to be inheriting millions or something. And my parents started with absolutely nothing. So they worked their entire lives to be able to buy this house. So, like I said, I mean, I don't need to inherit anything. I don't need any money. But, like, Not me personally, anyway. Go subscribe to lotuses.com. But, like, you know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, I need the money from my parents or anything like that. I'd rather my parents live forever and gave me nothing. But the concept of inheritance tax, I just really hate, because all of that money has already been taxed. You fucking thieves. It just really rubs me the wrong way in principle. Just in principle, I find it to be abominable. And he said, well, in fact, he says, death duties are wrong. We'll abolish them for all estates worth up to £2 million. Well, that's great. I agree. And they are abominable. And I really mean this. I hate death taxes. It's so, look, just now it's just not the time, government. You know what I mean? I've paid the tax. Piss off. Anyway, we'll improve the NHS. Well, everyone says this. Reform laws keep the NHS free at the point of use, but with an annual investment of 180 billion, lack of money is not the problem in the healthcare system. To be fair, he's not wrong on that. He says that Britain has the lowest number of hospital beds per person in Europe and the smallest number of doctors and nurses per head. Yeah, the problem is administrative costs for the NHS. There's a graph online that you can find somewhere that shows, 50 years ago, administration and bureaucracy lines going along, and they're both basically the same. And then they diverge. Administration and actual frontline doctors and nurses. And then they diverge. And you can guess which one is the one that starts climbing in the late 90s and early 2000s. It's like, why do we need this many administrators exactly? Especially with, I don't know, AI and various other automated systems. It seems that when it was a paper system, we needed far fewer administrators. So what's going on here exactly? And I think that if Nigel can focus on cutting waste, inefficiency and bureaucracy, then I think that might actually really help. I mean, I think he is correct that the funds directed to the NHS just aren't reaching the front line. Agreed. I mean, we already know that there are diversity directors for hundreds of thousands of pounds every year in each NHS section. So getting rid of them is going to be millions and millions and millions of pounds each year to start with. So that is a good start. Now, the next thing he says, and this is an interesting turn of phrase because it is so non-specific, and this is, of course, the part that I'm particularly concerned about. Our party will freeze immigration and stop the small boat crisis. Right. So what does freeze immigration mean? Now, to me, that would suggest immigration stops, as in there is no more immigration. However, previously, Nigel has said that what he wants is, quote, net zero immigration. So one in, one out. So the replacement continues because every year something like 80,000 British people leave, as well as 800, 700,000 foreign people, but 1.5 million, something like that, are allowed in. And so a freeze on immigration, it's not great. It won't solve the problem. It will stop the problem getting worse, at least while the freeze is in place. So that's something. Keir Starmer today has promised to reduce immigration to the hundreds of thousands. So back to the Blair era, 350,000 net in a year, which itself was just boiling the frog slowly because, of course, it was still creating the diversity bombing of England that we saw all before the Labour government, the Conservative government, and it just got worse with the Tories. So it's like, okay, brilliant. I mean, again, it's something, but it's not nearly enough, and it's not going to solve the problem. It has to be an absolute zero in, and then hundreds of thousands leaving as they do every year, and let them go to basically drain some of the excess population out of the country. So there are just too many people here. There are just too many people. But with the small boat crisis, yes, of course, we need to just stop these and turn them back. But he says, we are committed to leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. All illegal immigrants across will be barred from making asylum claims. Bingo. That'll solve it. And then just deport the rest of the people. But of course, he's promised to create a minister for deportations to oversee this. We are aiming for a 0% population increase through immigration. Well, again, this is his net zero immigration, which is great, but he needs to have a negative population increase through emigration. That's what needs to be done. And I realise a lot of people say remigration, and yeah, this effectively what that'll be. But I do suggest trying to do these things voluntarily at first, just to get at least the first few million out. But anyway, he points out that this is costing us billions, which it is, absolutely correct. The illegal immigrants are just all over the country. We don't want them here. Go away. He is right that NHS dentists are basically impossible to get these days. I have to pay for a private dentist. There was no way I could get on an NHS dentist these days. We'll abolish net zero. Oh, thank God. Keir Starmer certainly won't do that. Even though Tony Blair is banging on the door saying, Keir, why is Ed Miliband still here? So anyway, he intends to use Rolls-Royce small modular nuclear power reactors to power towns around Britain. That is precisely what I've been saying for years. Just nuclear, nuclear, nuclear. And he'll revive the North Sea oil and gas industry, fine. But really, if you want electricity in homes, nuclear power stations is what you need to do. Why not get cheap petrol from the sea? And if we needed to, coal, because we're sat on an unbelievably large island of coal. And so there's no reason why we don't do this. We could be not only energy independent, but we could also have ultra cheap energy if we just wanted it. Instead, Labour committed us, and Tories committed us, to the net zero boondoggle, which is costing us a fortune. So we've got the highest energy prices in Europe, blah, 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 blah. So he would make government strive to be an AI superpower. Okay, I mean, I don't know what Britain's status in AI is. I suspect it's not amazing, but sure, it's, leading technology. We should definitely be getting on the ground floor on it. Use it to whatever good we can use it for, and not use it for the bad bits. But he then carries on. We will axe the 2010 Equalities Act, which is entrenched politically correct wokery that split the country. Okay, Nige. Okay, I'm going to hold you to that. This is a good promise. Get rid of the Equalities Act. That's exactly what we want. Ban two-tier justice. What you can do is just repeal any of the other acts that are creating the two-tier justice. Diversity hires will go. There'll be no more victim groups or divide and rule. Okay, I like the sound of it. Reform. Oh, God. I will continue to say it loud and clear. Reform doesn't care about people's skin color, religion, or sexual preference. Oh, great. But, I mean, a return to meritocracy would be better than what we have now. It would be better. And so, yeah, this is a fairly predictable slate of things that he's suggesting. But most of it's good. Most of it probably won't come to pass. I don't think he'll get the tax cuts that he's looking for, because people will be like, listen, man, if you do this, people will die. There will literally be people who starve to death or freeze to death or whatever. People are going to die if you just do this. And I am not obviously in favor of people dying, but I think it's just there are too many dependents at this point. You'd have to phase it out and basically just say, look, no new ones from this point onwards, right? And so in a generation's time, hopefully you've got basically minimal people on benefits, legacy benefits claimants, and do what you can to phase them out for whatever purpose. But yeah, so I doubt he'll get the tax cuts he wants. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know about saving the steelworks or anything like that. I mean, if he's going to go quite protectionist on the economy, he could do it. It will have knock-on effects. Certain things will get more expensive. But if he manages to make Britain seem business-friendly and make it business-friendly, maybe that's good. Is he going to abolish inheritance tax? Yes, probably. Will he help the farmers then? Yes, that will help the farmers. Good luck doing anything about the NHS. The NHS is a Byzantine monster of so many different departments, and it's over 1 million people that it employs. Like, just tackling the NHS as a subject is an entire lifetime's worth of work on its own. So I would be surprised if he gets anything very good done on the NHS, but it would be nice if he did. Freezing immigration and stopping the small boat crisis. Well, I think he will leave the ECHR, which will be good. So he will be able to just repeal any of the legislation, basically, that keeps us in it, and prevent the lefty lawyers from raising these human rights claims, right? And so this will just be, there's nothing to appeal to with the law. If the British government wants to just bar you from making asylum claims and send you back, then you get sent back. And maybe Farage will do that. I mean, he's going to have a minister for deportations, which is a good thing. So, yeah, maybe he'll do that. That's possible. Which will save us billions, which is good. I do think he will also abolish net zero. This is something that is just uncontroversial for him. Like all of these other things, you could see politically correct objections being made to, which he might buckle on depending on the outrage. But net zero, nobody cares about the woke climate eco-lefty types. They're going to whine, but they've got no real moral argument. Their apocalyptic scenario just feels like it's a very long way off. Doesn't entirely feel like it's actually impending, right? So it's not that climate change isn't happening. It's just, is it going to blow up the planet? Well, maybe, who knows? But if we had nuclear reactors, that would actually mean that we've done our part, because they are, of course, one of the cleanest energy. In fact, they're probably the cleanest energy source that exists. So, and they're certainly the most productive by a long way. So this will solve. I mean, this in particular, this has been a bugbear of mine for a long time. I've been banging the drum. We need nuclear power, like France, if we want cheap and plentiful energy, like France. And it's just the experiment is literally being run a couple of miles off of our shore, and it's working great for them. So it's just totally uncontroversial. Totally uncontroversial. No idea about the AI thing, but it's entirely possible that he will get rid of the Equalities Act and things like that. It would be nice if he did, and God save me, I might even vote for this.